As many of you know, my mother was diagnosed with ALS. But as many of you may not know, one of my aunts was diagnosed with cancer earlier this year. Over the years, I've seen a false narrative of cancer being the worst disease known to man. Now, don't get me wrong, all diseases are bad, but I just believe that ALS is worse than cancer. Chemo is a big treatment for people with cancer, but the thing with chemo is it makes you feel bad, but if all things go well, you'll be better in a few months. With ALS, however, there are a few things you can do to help slow down the progression, but they all have very big risks, such as speeding up that progression. With cancer, you can do chemo, and if it works well, the cancer will be gone and you will simply feel sick for a few months. But with ALS, the most you can do is slow it down, but sooner or later, you will be immobilized before finally succumbing to that illness. Besides just feeling sick, cancer also has better treatments. Cancer treatments include surgery, chemotherapy, laser therapy, and radiation therapy. ALS treatments include DNA based designer drugs and glutamate therapy. As you can see, there are not only more treatments for cancer, but these treatments can remove the cancer for some time. Meanwhile, with ALS, there are less treatments and none can really do anything to remove ALS. Not only is the treatment bad for ALS, but the funding is just as bad, if not worse. Events to raise money for cancer research seem to be everywhere nowadays. Meanwhile, you hardly ever hear about ALS research, let alone that funding going into it. Some cancer funding events include auctions, a Gamers vs. Cancer event, multiple walks, and 750 grants for just over $420 million. ALS, however, have gotten 0 grants, some small walks, and the viral Ice Bucket Challenge to raise money for that research. As you can see, cancer has way more events and opportunities for funding than ALS. With all that said, I still think that cancer and all diseases for that matter are bad, but I truly believe ALS is worse. My family and I have been to 2 ALS walks, met a family dressed as the Incredibles, won an award for sending out the most emails that next year, and met multiple of wonderful people on these walks. They last for about 1 to 2 hours. You walk around the block in Tulsa. There's another one in Oklahoma City that you can go to, but they're both significant fundraisers for the research towards ALS.